everybody. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to write equations of circles and how to graph circles. So just like you can graph lines and write equations of lines, you can graph circles and write equations of circles too. So I'm going to first show you really quickly where the equation of a circle comes from. So if you look at my little circle diagram, the definition of a circle is the set of all the points x comma y that are equidistant from the center of the circle. I'm calling the center of the circle h comma k. So let me locate where these values are on the grid. So there's h and k. Here's x and y. And I'm going to get the formula for a circle by doing the Pythagorean theorem. If you think about it, that radius is like the hypotenuse of an imaginary right triangle. So I'm going to draw in the missing right triangle. And that little horizontal distance is the distance between h and x. So that's x minus h. And then that little vertical distance is the difference between the distance between k and y. So I'm going to write y minus k. And if you do the Pythagorean theorem, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, you get the formula for the equation of a circle. So that's what we're going to use, and we're going to go both ways. I'm either going to give you information and ask you to write the equation of a circle, or I'm going to give you the equation of a circle and ask you for some information. So that's what we're going to start with. We just have to be careful with our signs. It's x minus h squared. So when I go to find the center, x minus 5 squared, the signs are what we want them to be. So the x coordinate of the center is positive 5. But for the y coordinate, it's y plus 2 squared, and we want y minus something. So it just means that the y coordinate is negative 2. And then when you go to find the radius, we're going to use the 144, but that's r squared. So we just need to square root the 144, which comes out nicely. It's 12. So given the equation of a circle, you can pretty quickly find the center and the radius. Let's do the opposite. We're going to write our own equation. So I'm going to set it up in the right form because I know that I need x minus something plus y minus something equals radius squared. So this time the center is, the x coordinate is negative 8. So x minus negative 8, I'm going to write it instead like x plus 8. And y minus negative 7, I'm going to write it like y plus 7. And then I need to take my radius and square it. So 9 squared is 81. And that's it. That's the equation for the circle. Number 3 is really similar. I gave you the center, so we'll do the same thing with setting up the equation. This time, I just didn't give you the radius. I gave you the area instead, so we'll talk about what we could do with that. So the x coordinate's positive 3, so x minus positive 3. The y coordinate is negative 11. Y minus negative 11, I'm going to do y plus 11 instead. And then the question is, what do we do with this area? So when we have RDCA, whenever I give you the area, you have to square root the coefficient of pi in order to find the radius. So the radius is root 59, which is a messy number. But here's what happens that's nice in these circle equations is we need to square the radius anyway. So that gets us back to 59. So whenever you have the area of a circle, you have radius squared pi. So if you just take off the pi, you have the radius squared that belongs in the equation anyway. So in the example above, if I had told you that the area of the circle is 81 pi, then you would just use the 81 in your equation. All right, let's take a look at number 4. This one is a little bit different. I gave you the endpoints of the diameter of the circle, 10, negative 4, and 10, 8. So I didn't give you the center or the radius. So let's find the center first. I know it's definitely going to be 10 something because that diameter is vertical. Then I need to find what's smack dab in the middle of negative 4 and 8. So I like using the midpoint formula. I'm going to do that thing where I add up negative 4 and 8 and divide by 2 to find what's in the middle. Negative 4 plus 8 is 4. Divided by 2 is 2. And then I ask myself, is 2 really in between, halfway in between negative 4 and 8? Well, it's 6 away from negative 4 and it's 6 away from 8. And that 6 happens to be the radius. So now we actually have everything that we need in order to write our equation. So I'm going to set up my equation like I did in the previous examples. I need to put 10, 2 in there as the center. And then I just need to put 6 in there as the radius. 6 squared is 36. And I have my equation. All right, let's do one more. We are going to graph a circle. So I gave you an equation so we can really quickly point out what the center and the radius is. Just be careful with your signs. So it's x plus 2 squared, so it's negative 2. Y minus 3 squared, so it's positive 3. And then remember that we have to square root the 25. So that gives us 5. So negative 2, 3. And then we want to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, make a dot. Down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, make a dot. Right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, make a dot. Left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gives us 4 points, and we connect them as best as we can to make a decent circle. It's trickier than it seems to draw a good circle, so just do your best. And then the hard part is I said name 10 points on the circle. So we have 4 points already plotted. We have negative 2, 8, negative 2, negative 2. And then let's move to that point on the right. 3, 3. And then negative 7, 3. The center is not actually a point on the circle. So where in the world would we get more points? So I did something clever. I noticed that the radius was 5, and I decided to use 3, 4, 5 triangles. So if you go back to the center and you move over 1, 2, 3 and up 1, 2, 3, 4, I didn't draw my circle perfectly, but if I did, that would be a point on the circle. That is 1, 7. And then I could do the same thing. Instead of over 3 up 4, I could go over 1, 2, 3, 4 up 1, 2, 3. And again, I didn't draw it perfectly, but if I did, then 2, 6 would be a point on the circle. And I can prove to you that that actually does work. If I take my point and I plug it in to the equation, so x is 2 and y is 6. Then 2 plus 2 is 4 squared. 6 minus 3 is 3 squared. And yes, 16 plus 9 does equal 25, so that works. So if you wanted to find more points, you could do the same thing in a different direction. I'm not going to list them all, but let's do one more. Go to the center and go left 4 up 3. And that gives the point negative 6, 6. And then go left 3 and up 4. And that gives the point negative 5, 7. And then you can do the same in the other quadrants to find more points. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.